All right, welcome back, everyone. How was the coffee break? I don't hear anything there. How was the coffee break? Okay. Yeah, we need a little bit of more energy. I know it's warm. I see a lot of people waving with paper because it's a beautiful sunny day. It's summer, officially. And I also wanted to know who drank water during the coffee break. See your hands. Oh, okay. Quite some people because it's warm, probably. Well, that brings me obviously to this session because whether you turn on the tap in the morning or watch the rainfall in city streets, you know, we cannot live without water. And that's exactly what this next session is all about. We're going to be addressing water scarcity and floods and its innovative solutions for water resilience. And before we're going to start with our panel discussion, I would like to hear more from you. And we're going to open up another Slido question. And this is the question, so this is also for our online audience. Please, and for you here, take out your phones. You are allowed now. And scan the QR code here on the screen. And then our question to you is the following. What aspect of water resilience projects are you most curious to learn about in the upcoming session? Because this is also good for our speakers to know. And it's an active poll, and you have multiple choices, but you can give only one choice. Real-world examples and EU policy. All the above is also, just to mention, if you were, I saw some new people coming in, so welcome. We're very happy to have you. And just that you're aware, we have an online audience as well, and there is a slide delay of 30 seconds, just so that you're aware. So maybe their answers are coming in right now. So as I can see, real-world examples is number one. And then how cohesion policy funding is being used to support water resilience. And of course, we want to hear from the European Commission as well, right, on their policy updates. Good. So real-world examples, no, for the projects, no pressure at all to you, but we're going to be talking about both of them, obviously. All right, so what can you expect for this next session? Well, we invited, I'm going to call them water friends, 4 water friends to share their insight with us today. And we're going to open up with 2 policy presentations from the European Commission. And the first will be from DG Env, from the environment, on the new water resilience strategy. And then the second is followed by DG REGIO on how cohesion policy supports this strategy. And then we have 2 member states presenting examples on how they're tackling water scarcity and also floods through nature-based solutions. And after those presentations, we're going to go for the third part and we're going to enter the panel discussion. And of course, we open the floor for you here in person and also to our online audience for any circulating questions, I would call them. And now I would like to introduce our speakers to you, and please give them a warm applause. Firstly, we have Luca Perez, and he's Deputy Head of Unit C1, Sustainable Freshwater Management at DG Env from the European Commission. Welcome, Luca. And from DG REGIO, we have Myriam Bovéda, and she's Team Leader at Smart and Sustainable Growth Unit. DG REGIO, welcome. And then I would like to welcome the good practices of member states. And firstly, we have Gusztáv Csomor, and he is Senior Priority Officer at the Managing Authority Joint Secretariat of the Interreg Danube Transnational Program. And fourthly, we have Gisela Martins, and she's Head of Environment Division for the Municipality of Valongo and a beneficiary of the C4T Technical Assistance. I'm going to give this already to you. So, and then I'm going to sit over here. Wonderful. So what we're going to start off with, we're going to start with a policy presentation from DG Env. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Good morning still, I guess, to everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here to present our latest strategy to you. And of course, I'm particularly pleased because, as you know, water management is by definition one of the topics which is most relevant for local and regional authorities who are really in the front line of water management across the EU. First of all, I'll start to explain the rationale for the strategy. As never before, there is an increased political understanding that water is under pressure, that there's a cross-cutting issues which cause at the heart of European economy, people well-being, and the environment. And you can see there, I think those pictures, those terms, tourism, industry, flood protection, agriculture, nature, speak volumes about the relevance of the topic for every part of our economy and society. What we've put forward is a comprehensive strategy that really aims to tackle in a comprehensive manner three interlinked challenges that we are facing across the EU. First of all, a water pollution crisis. And in this slide, I tried to capture the essence of the state of the water report published by the European Environment Agency in 2024. The situation, as you can see, is quite dramatic, especially when it comes to surface water. They're not doing well from a biodiversity and species point of view. They're not doing well from a pollution or chemical point of view. And the same applies increasingly also to groundwater, which on the one end are under increased pressure. And this relatively positive picture that you have there with 90% or 95% in good quantitative status, I need to stress that it's a situation that reflects realities as of 2021. So before the mega droughts that have affected a large part of Europe over the last few years. And groundwater is also increasingly polluted from nitrates, pesticides, to the extent that in a country like France, 30 wells are being closed every day because of increased pollution. So we are heading towards a potential crisis there. Similarly, water scarcity, a well-known challenge in a number of EU member states, particularly in Southern Europe, but a challenge that is increasingly affecting larger and larger parts of Europe. Central Europe, as you can see in the picture, but even parts of Scandinavia are suffering now from at least some seasonal form of localized water stress. So this reinforces the key point that we have tried to make in the strategy, that this is a common challenge at EU level and that efforts and action needs to be taken by everyone, including those member states that are more water rich, but that they still need to consider how to deal with the future, including in relation to the impacts of climate change. Which brings me to the third challenge. So excess of water or increased flood risk. I don't need to tell you how many parts of Europe have been affected by more severe and more frequent floods. And we know the suffering, loss of lives, and economic damage that this has caused. This is why we have put forward this, as I said, this comprehensive strategy, which we have articulated around three interlinked goals and 5 priority action areas. On the one end, the first goal is to protect and restore the water cycle, recognizing that taking care of our ecosystems, our water resource, is the overriding priority. And that in that context, water quantity and water quality are to be considered as two sides of the same coin. And in fact, the less water you have, the more you have to take care of its quality, and the other way around. Clearly, the strategy is also a big mainstreaming agenda. So it's about transforming the way we consider water in our economic and sectoral planning, and try to have a much better control much wiser or smarter use of the resource. At the moment, we are using water in many parts of Europe and in many sectors as if it was an indefinite or infinite resource. And we know this is not the case. You cannot just produce more water out of thin air, and water is a very local resource, which is needed in the environment, which is needed for the local people, and you cannot just transfer it very easily across long distances. This is why water efficiency is very much at the heart and, of our strategy. And of course, we have to consider that water, access to water resources and sanitation is a basic human right that needs to be protected and delivered upon. Now, when it comes to restoring the water cycle, I want to emphasize the issue of having to work both with what we call the blue water, the water in the rivers, in the lake, the green water, so the water that is stored in land, and the grey water, which is the water that we use and comes through the economy. From that point of view, we want to push strongly on nature-based solutions, and we want to launch a sponge facility. We have proposed actions to address some key pressures from chemicals, including PFAS, but also nutrients. We want to work with member states on better management of quantity, and we announced the revision of the Marine Strategy Framework Directive with this source-to-sea approach. As I said, big emphasis on mainstreaming water across the EU, and with the strategy we also published a recommendation on the application of the so-called water efficiency first principle, where we are really providing a clear guidance to member states, local authorities on, let's say, the hierarchy of steps in water management and decision-making on investment, where the priority should clearly be about reducing demand before investing into more efficient use, reuse, and increased supply. And as you know, from that point of view, there are massive efforts that are needed in large parts of Europe when it comes to leakage reduction. The amount of water that we are wasting through our leaky distribution network is unbelievable. And we cannot afford this, all the more so as we are having increasing demand from very strategic sectors, not only the traditional agriculture, industry, and energy production, but more and more data centers, for which we want to make sure we get performance standards right, but also battery production, critical raw materials, and so on and so forth. And to drive this effort, we have set this aspirational target of 10% at EU level, and we want to work with member states to come up with a methodology and common benchmark to support definition of local and adapted targets at the local level. Better control of the resource also applies to the issue of clear water and sanitation, where we need much increased public awareness, a much better consideration of water in the built environment and in product policy to increase public awareness and empower consumers. Implementation of the existing legislation is very much at the center of the strategy. And from that point of view, we definitely see a need to engage in a political dialogue with member states. So we will launch a structured dialogue to really promote enhanced implementation, but also to promote transboundary cooperation on a national scale, but also across regions that share river basins, so promoting best practices, etc. Funding is a big part of the constraints that we are seeing when it comes to addressing water challenges. From that point of view, the midterm review of the cohesion policy sent a very strong signal to member states and local authorities in terms of the need to prioritize water resilience, and we want to reinforce that with the newly launched program with the European Investment Bank, which will spend spend up to 15 billion over the next 3 years. And we are trying to work to also to develop capacity and a pipeline of projects through a new advisory facility, while also working on a set of pilot projects through a water finance accelerator that we want to use to showcase good example. Digitalization is very much part of the solution, and we will produce next year a digitalization action plan for the water sector. There, I think this is a huge opportunity where we see regions and local authorities having to leapfrog and take advantage of these opportunities across Earth observation, artificial intelligence, monitoring, online monitoring, etc. Research and innovation is also a big part of the strategy, where we want to promote also a strong skills agenda, which will also be relevant for local authorities as well as the private sector. Finally, when it comes to preparedness and security, I want to emphasize 2 points. On the one hand, the strategy is about promoting adaptation to climate change, early warning system, better response, but also that we have this important element of security of our water infrastructure, be it from cyber attacks, but also physical attacks. And of course, this is all promoted through global action. Final step, final slide on my side, in terms of governance. There will be, of course, the strategy is only the start of the progress. We want to set up a regular water resilience forum that will be used as an opportunity to engage with all stakeholders, not only national, but also regional and local level, to keep this momentum that will lead us to a midterm review of the strategy already in 2 years, and a final evaluation of progress in 2021, including on the issue of the water efficiency agenda, because we will want to see how this is picked up by member states in terms of complete implementation on the ground. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We give him an applause. Thank you for your presentation on the water resilience strategy. And up next is Myriam Bovéda from DG REGIO with a presentation on cohesion policy. So how does the cohesion policy fit into this, what Luca just presented, and how can it support the objectives of the strategy? Please take the floor for the next 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. Under cohesion policy, we represent 1/3 of the EU budget, and we have twofold objective. The first one is, of course, to foster cohesion and reduce disparities between European regions. And the second one is to contribute to EU priorities, and this includes the priorities which were set in the European Green Deal. Under our 5 policy objectives, we have one policy objective 2, which is more focused on European Green Deal priorities. And this is a policy objective which has, at present, so in April 2025, we had more than 120 billion euros which are invested under policy objective 2. This entails ERDF, Cohesion Fund, and the Just Transition Fund. So we see that under policy objective 2, we have for now 24 billion euros for EU regions which are facing higher water challenges. In the map, which is on the right, you have the map which was part of the 9th cohesion report, which is showcasing differences in stringent treatment of urban wastewater. And we see that all regions don't have the same point of departure. And all regions are not equal in terms of access to water and in terms of water infrastructure. This is also why, and it explains why we have regions which are investing more than others, and they are facing persistent regional inequalities. And there is a clear north-south divide and also some difference between east and west in the EU. As a result, under the 21-27 period, we have overall 24 member states which are investing in water-related investments. This is mainly done through specific objective 2.5, which covers access to water and wastewater management, and also under specific objective 2.4, which is related to adaptation, floods, and droughts. The EU funding will result in connecting over 16 million people to enhanced drinking water infrastructure, and will connect, as a result, 8.5 million people to public wastewater treatment infrastructure, and will provide as well flood protection for 40 million people. So these are the results we are pursuing under 21-27 with our 24 billion euros invested in water-related investments. As my director Nicola De Michelis said, we have now reviewed cohesion policy to boost strategic priorities, and we had our Executive Vice President Fito, who presented a strategy for a modernized cohesion policy on the 1st of April. And under these strategies, there are 5 major priorities. And as you can see, water resilience is one of these priorities. And it aims at encouraging investment in water resilience, including in digitization of water infrastructure, mitigation of drought, and desertification impacts. So there is, under the midterm review, room for member states that want to pivot towards new midterm priorities and make use of the proposed support and of the incentives which are attached to it. And we see already that several member states are planning to invest further in the water resilience strategy through cohesion policy. What is included under the midterm priority for water resilience? First of all, we are stressing that water is a vital source for security of our food, energy, and economic systems, so it's a vital source for cohesion. We are stressing the need to build a water resilient society and to protect water ecosystems and infrastructure. And the midterm review is proposing measures to strengthen investments in this sector. We had already an investment foreseen under policy objective 2 for water, but we have revised this specific objective to increase resilience under new water challenges, for instance, availability, water security, even in the context of climate impacts, and also sabotage, such as physical or cyber security of critical infrastructure. So concretely, what does it mean in terms of priorities that can be put under this revised specific objective? We are able now to invest in wider areas. So there are already the areas which were in which it was possible to invest, so wastewater treatment and provision of drinking water. But as you can see, we are putting even more emphasis in restoration of water bodies, in deployment of nature-based solutions to reduce flood risks, in water efficiency, in digitization of water infrastructure and water reuse, as well as mitigation of drought and desertification, pollution reduction, and there is also included wastewater treatment, which was already included under the previous specific objective 2.5. So you have a wider scope of possibilities to invest, and we wanted to draw also your attention that we are not starting from scratch. We have already very successful projects which have been implemented, and I wanted to share with you, and we have many other projects under our Cohesion database. I have the link at the end of my presentation. We wanted to share with you these 3 examples of successful projects. The first one is a project which is helping Sardinia to build an integrated water management system. And this is addressing water losses, aging infrastructure, and increasing drought risks. There is a digital transformation of the water management system of the island region, which provides real-time monitoring and facilitates leak detection, remote control capabilities, and tools to optimize water resource. The second project is a project which is supported by the Interreg program, and it entails a project among 24 partners from Belgium, Germany, Denmark, the Netherlands, and the UK in the North Sea region. And it has developed technology and governance tools to better manage groundwater, helping to adapt against climate change. And finally, the project we wanted to share with you is the project from Slovenia of the Kradašja River, which has helped protecting the city of Ljubljana from the impact of the August 2023 floods. It's an ongoing project which is based on nature-based solutions, for instance, water retention measures and restoration of floodplains. And it provides flood protection, but there is also a part which is related to citizen awareness against flood risk management. So we think that the combination of a different set of measures and different sectors allowing to have a holistic understanding of water resilience and preparedness can help achieving better resilient societies. So to summarize how cohesion policy is contributing to water resilience strategy, we have 5 major enabling areas, as Luca said, under the water resilience strategy. And cohesion policy will make a major contribution at least to 3 of them. So the first one is the finance and the investment. The second one is the governance and implementation to boost change, because cohesion policy has a very specific governance system, and it will help also enhancing governance around water issues. In particular, we have sustainable urban development actions. So in the cities, this will also be a major governance tool that we have already embedded in cohesion policy. We have, for instance, under the urban agenda, a thematic partnership on water-sensitive cities. And finally, we have security and preparedness to boost collective resilience under the Restore regulation, which has supported member states and will support member states to quickly mobilize funds for reconstruction. We saw it for Poland already. So this is all for cohesion policy implementation, and I'm sharing with you the links related to the different information I shared for projects and a data story on cohesion policy supporting water investments. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Myriam. And Luca, starting off with your presentations, I would like to open the floor to you for any questions on these EU policy presentations. Same thing for you, online audience. If you have any questions for our European Commission panelists, please go ahead. And I kindly ask you, if you're here in the room, please stand up if you can introduce yourself and also keep it briefly and to the point. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Lydia Luttenberger, coming from the University of Rijeka. My question is about wastewater systems, black water. We all know that the wastewater systems, the centralized systems that we are mostly used to, they are great consumers of water, fresh water, and energy. Why water, fresh water? Because the water is used for transport of wastewater. And there is much energy and nutrients in this black water. So my question is, as I look through the water strategy, the new water strategy, I don't see that the centralized wastewater systems are mentioned at all. Decentralized wastewater systems are smaller systems where resources can be reused. So we are speaking about circular economy, where water can be reused, material, I mean the nutrients, and also the energy through the biogas. So it's not mentioned in the paper, but what's your position on financing such small infrastructure? Thank you.
Who wants to answer this? Yeah? Here are your microphones. Yes.
No, thank you very much for the question. When it comes to wastewater treatment, and in particular urban wastewater treatment, we shall not forget that just last year the Commission or the EU put in place a new revised urban wastewater treatment directive, which includes a number of new requirements that will indeed require significant investment for adaptation. This includes making quaternary treatment compulsory for all large agglomerations in particular, above 150,000 people. It includes requirement related to the energy neutrality of wastewater treatment infrastructure, so it goes in the direction of what you were saying, as well as on promoting integrated strategy for the reuse of the treated wastewater, so with an encouragement to member states to have to put in plans in place for that, beyond the requirement under the existing water reuse regulation for promoting the reuse in agriculture. And finally, the recovery of nutrients is also very much promoted in the revised strategy with the circular economy approach. I think the issue of decentralized urban wastewater treatment was very much part of the negotiations on the revision of the directive. To be honest, I'm not responsible for that piece of legislation, so I don't know the details. But I think the critical point is how to ensure that this decentralized system contributes to delivering and reducing the environmental impact of wastewater. But I guess that for complying with certain criteria, there are also opportunities for funding on that.
So on this decentralized water systems, what we are trying to do with cohesion policy is to have most cost-effective intervention, of course, and to support also the environmentally key in the different member states who need to implement it. So having this, taking this into account, what we are doing is we are seeing how is the €1 best invested. So it depends of member states. As we saw, member states are not starting all from the same point. If we see that there is an interest and that it makes sense at program level or for a certain member states, it's not excluded. What we are trying to do as a priority is to reduce and reuse. So these are the two areas in which we are investing as a priority because, as Luca showed, this is where we have to act first. And if there is a specific situation where we see the need to have such support, it is not excluded. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. I think, thank you for your question. One more question from the audience. Please introduce yourself and keep it briefly and to the point. Thank you.
I will keep it brief. Laszlo Pinter, I'm a member of the Academic Sounding Board. I'm with the Central European University in Vienna. And my question is with respect to one component, water retention. And as you rightly pointed out, both excess water and flooding and water scarcity are problems that are present at the same time, sometimes in the same location, just within weeks apart. And I think my question is whether nature-based solutions that we tend to think about as usually smaller initiatives, many times in cities. I mean, do you think, is there really a vision that within a few years we will have a rather fundamentally transformed landscape where at the watershed scale, small watersheds, but also large watersheds, there are enough sort of landscape level water retention systems, call it nature-based solutions or whatever, that is there really a vision for towards that rather fundamentally change the sort of structure of watersheds? Yeah, I hope that's clear.
Who wants to? Yeah?
Shall I start? No, I think the issue of nature-based solutions and water retention measure, it is indeed very much at the center of our strategy. There, of course, there's a type of solution that needs to be put in place at a very local level. As you said, they're very much part and parcel of spatial planning, that needs to happen at the local level. What we want to do from the EU side is to, on the one hand, promote the exchange of best practices and demonstrate examples that have proven to be working in practice, at the same time creating financial incentives and provide financial support where is possible for putting in place the solution, be it in an urban environment, be it in the wider landscape. And there are, of course, a number of initiatives working already on this, with the Water Sensitive Partnership, CT, mentioned by Myriam, the mission adaptation as a being component when it comes to sponge cities and sponge landscapes. There is certainly a lot that can be done through the agricultural policy when it comes to natural water retention measures, and we'll have to see how this will be reflected in the new CAP. I think the vision on agriculture definitely put water under the spotlight, but the nuts and bolts is how can we create an incentive for farmers and foresters to put these measures in place. Last point on my side, I think this is all very much linked, as I was saying, to local decision making. So we see also a big role for awareness to decision makers about the importance and what natural water retention measures can deliver. And what is encouraging in one way is that if you look at Belgium, the city of Kent, Wallonia, which has suffered from massive floods in the past years, have put in place nature-based solutions precisely to prevent the same situation from happening again. So we need more of those examples coming in.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. I'm sorry. We have to, I think, if you want to say something, yeah, Les? Okay, because we have to move on. We have two other, thank you for your presentations and also for your questions, because we have two incredible also other panelists sitting here. And as I mentioned before, we invited 2 member states to present their projects, and each of the member state will present their project to you in 5 minutes. No pressure at all. And then I'll open the floor to you again for another Q&A. And let's start off with you, Gusztáv. I don't know if you wish to use the lectern. There is a clicker over there, and we will be sharp on the time. He will represent the Scarcity project in the Danube region. Please, take the floor.
Good afternoon. It's an honor to be here, invited, and having the chance to introduce briefly the so-called Scarcity project, which is supported financially by the Danube region program. From this point of view, actually, I'm representing a transnational region and not a member state, a group of member states. The objective of the program, of the project, is to increase the urban climate change adaptation capacities within the Danube region by testing and promoting the so-called Scarcity methodology. The Scarcity in a transnational cooperation, so in a broader territorial scope. The Scarcity methodology originates from China, and this is a nature-based solution focusing on water retention and focusing on urban areas where and trying to cope with the weather extremes of torrential rains and flash flood, excess water, and at the same time, or not the same time, but in different periods, what just has been mentioned by one of the participants, then in same areas, in a few weeks and months later, the drought can be, or water scarcity can be an issue. And with this stored water to counteract this challenge as well. The project is in cooperation of 13 project partners and 20 associated partners from 12 countries of the Danube region in a cross-sectoral mix of municipalities, universities, water management authorities, sectoral agencies. The main output I would outline or emphasize is one is the online toolbox, which is developed by the partnership helping urban planners in relation to being able to identify the most vulnerable areas within their territory in connection to climate change impacts, in connection to flooding or excess water, as well as to be able to identify those areas and then maybe those solutions that can counteract these, and where the, let's say, local investment would be the most effective to combat these challenges within their municipalities. Using this tool, the project partners and the 12 pilot area municipalities are also elaborating local action plans and investment plans regarding such solutions that they elaborate and they discuss this design through participatory planning processes. And in four of these municipalities, small-scale rain garden pilot investments are also made in order to analyze and monitor the different absorption capacities of these gardens regarding the excess water, as well as to demonstrate what might be possible in different geographical and other circumstances. Another important part of the project is raising awareness and increasing capacity of local communities, on the one hand of the municipalities and the responsible authorities, responsible actors within there, providing trainings on nature-based solution, specifically on the sponge methodology, and the other important aspect is also to provide trainings for the local citizens on and making them aware of the challenges, the possibilities that this solution can bring, and also bring them on board, being involved in such communities. And this is done not only in the partner municipalities, but in each partner country, additional number of municipalities are invited over and participating actively in such cooperation. At the end of my presentation, I just briefly visualize where these municipalities are located, which have different characteristics, different size of, and well, covering more or less the big area of the Danube region. And with this, I thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Please. Thank you, Gusztáv. All right, and we're immediately going to you, Gisela. And Gisela, you work for the municipality of Valongo. And Valongo was also awarded for the C4T Groundwork Technical Assistance Assignment from March to October 2024. And yeah, please tell us about your region, the river, and you have 5 minutes. So I don't know if you want to do it here or there, up to you.
I think I can do it from here.
Then we just need the clicker, I think. Yeah, because you have 2 slides. Yes, perfect. All right, thank you. Take the floor.
Okay. Next. So I'm from Valongo, and Valongo is a municipality that is part of Porto metropolitan area in Portugal. It covers around 75 square kilometers, and it has around 100,000 inhabitants. I believe that Valongo is a territory of contrasts. And we can, the challenge of urbanization coexists with the environmental and ecological enhancements, and the opportunity of. And the territory also have more than 300 kilometers of water lines. So for that reason, we implemented an action plan, a strategic action plan that is very ambitious, and it's called Perla Valongo. And what we want with this plan is to provide an integrated vision of the territory and to be a support to technical and political decisions. That's why we thought that this plan has 74 measures, 56 measures and 18 projects, so 74 actions in general. And that's why we thought it was very important to apply to C4T technical assistance. It was very important for us because we had the opportunity to work with our consultant that is Portuguese, João Silva. He is here, so if you want to. He gave us a lot of help to understand and to design a well-documented project and robust to maybe apply some funding. This project was about Rio Ferreira, one of the main rivers that we have in the territory. In Valongo, it crosses around 16 kilometers. And what did you do? We defined the sector of the river that we want to work. And it was the intermediate sector, sorry. And the first thing that we did was to look for the environmental problems that we have. And in that sector, we had problems like urban pressure in riverbanks, We had pollution by industrial and agricultural activities. We had lack of connectivity. We lack low proximity of the population. We had invasive species. Well, a lot of problems. So we have to tackle that. And then what did you did, João, with your help, of course. He defined 14 actions categorized by 4 categories. And we set preparation actions, then actions that are related with the restoration of the river, then monitoring actions, and finally communication actions. These kind of actions were very useful, are very useful because, for example, the planning, the preparation actions are something that is crucial because we need planning, we need also some mapping and electronic register of cadastre and everything. So it was very interesting to start to do this kind of work with a good plan. And that's what we expect from this. We are waiting for funding because there's no, the local needs are not necessary, they don't correspond sometimes to other needs that are reflected in calls. So we are expecting for that, and we expected that we can have a part of the river requalified and restoring restored riverbanks and native species, and monitored river, real-time monitoring river, and the population more close to the river, because we have an experience with other river that we have here, the representative also, the Lesser River, that it's one of the other rivers that we have, that people, when they engage, they really take care of it. And we need that. We need several eyes on the land and on the river. So that's right. It. That was the project that we developed, and now we are waiting.
Yeah.
And thank you for receiving me.
Yeah, thank you. Please give her an applause. So we're going to be waiting for funding then, right? Yeah, exactly, yeah. I would like to open the floor to you, dear audience and online audience. If you have questions for our projects in this case, if there's anyone here in the room that has already a question for for the projects, yeah.
Yes, we can start with the online audience because we have, first of all, a comment from Marine Gaudron from the Council of European Municipalities and Regions, and I think it's a very nice conclusion to the previous 2 presentations as well. Marine is saying that they have, at the Council of European Municipalities and Regions, they have collected more than 60 best practices on the essential role of local governments in building water resilience in Europe. So in addition to the examples that we just had, you could take a look at the examples collected there. And then we have 2 questions from the online audience. The first is, how can cohesion policy ensure that water remains a public good in the next years?
This is, I don't know, it would be for the projects, but I feel that this is more an EU policy question. Okay.
I think we have celebrated recently 50 years of cohesion policy, and we have been investing in all member states. And I think we have, and it's demonstrated with our cohesion report that we have improved the quality of water thanks to our investment and accessibility to water resources. So I think it's the first success that we share also with DG Environment, who is working more on the legislation part, and we work hand in hand. And this is what we are looking at for the next MFF. We don't know how we will pursue it, but this is a common goal that we are sharing with DG Environment.
Great. Luca, anything?
Just very quickly to add that indeed, when it comes to EU legislation, as you know, the Water Framework Directive, the Drinking Water Directive, very much recognize the role of water as a public good and a common heritage. So there is nothing in EU law that points towards a privatization, if this was also one of the points that the question aimed to address. So that is really for the member states to decide how to set up, for instance, the delivery of essential water services.
Okay, thank you. And I want to, if there are any questions from the room also for the panel discussion? Okay, we're going to move forward to our panel discussion then, because then we're going to delve a little bit deeper into also our projects. Because if I'm going to ask you, Gusztáv, how do you see the role of local community engagement? We just heard it already this morning, communication. It's a very important thing. So how do you see the role of local community engagement in achieving water resilience goals?
It was also mentioned my previous presentations, and also some from the audience. It was emphasized the local communities are crucial basically for these actions. Very often, especially nature-based solutions are implemented on local level, where planning needs very much involvement of the local communities. It is also, first of all, I think important that on local level, actors as well as the citizens are getting or being aware of such solutions, being aware of what their problem is, what solutions can be up beyond the so-called grey infrastructural, flood protective investments. And then they also need support to be able to identify for themselves what solutions can be most effective, how maybe the grey infrastructure can be replaced or in combination used with nature-based solutions. And of course, their involvement is also needed for engagement. As it was mentioned by you, when locals are involved, then they have a certain ownership in connection to the topic, the project, the river, the local water body, whatever. And this can bring on, volunteering actions, or maybe even from certain sources, additional co-financing, or just simply bringing their local knowledge, which can be also helpful for special planners.
Right.
Yeah.
And same thing for you, Gisela. How do you see this role? But also, how do you see this role for other local and regional communities that I know that a lot of authorities are here today? What action can they take, or how can you involve these local authorities or local engagement?
First I would like to add just that people are the first to experience the related questions with water, flooding, scarcity, and so we really need them to get to involve. And about the stakeholders, I think that it's very important to work together, because we don't see administrative limits when we are talking about environment, water, air, and topics like this. We need to work together, because there's no sense if me in my city, I work in a certain way and the other city works in another way. So I think we have to think about policies that promote and that incentive working together with other stakeholders and with other cities. So it's, I think it's obvious that we cannot do anything alone, and we have to be aligned. So, yeah.
Can you give an example on how you did this? Like, for example, how did you engage with the local community? What did you do to make people aware?
Well, for example, we always, in Valongo, we are used to involve people in all kind of activities. So we already know who are very active and who aren't, who isn't. But I have two cases. One of the cases is Rio Corridor Association, and the other is the Oporto Mountain Landscape Protected Association. That we have a strategy to involve them since the beginning in the planning of the management of the territory, for example. We call them from sectors, and we sit and we discuss the problems, and then we try to tackle these problems with some measures, concrete measures, and people send, they have the feeling that are involved, so they help us, and that's why
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you do that, Gusztáv, to really involve, if you really make it very concise, because everyone wanted to hear mostly practical examples?
Well, I'm representing the program, so what I can tell you is what in the projects which the program is supporting, how these partnerships are working. Basically, they organize local events. Then that can be a workshop in a focused topic, or a more open event, which is not only about discussing a certain topic, but more familiarizing and entertaining also the locals. I mean, this is on the citizen level, but of course, local community consists of also other actors, from the business side. That is usually, there are these seminars, or not seminars, rather more workshops where, which projects are working.
You want to add something? Yeah.
Just to add that we are now starting with the Climate Council that we have in Valongo, that will bring together a lot of stakeholders annually, and we will discuss each measure that is reflected in the action plan, the climate action plan. And it's a way, I think, that guarantees their involvement for a long-term involvement and commitment.
Okay, thank you. So, Myriam, Luca, any responses or thoughts on their presentations, or thoughts, or the practical examples that they shared from your perspective?
Yes, I think it's very important what we are doing in this community of practice, and we have an example of authorities who want to engage in sustainability transitions, and we should support them, because this is the future-proof solutions, so that we are creating today solutions for the future. And I wanted to say that we will launch a next call for support in October, and I think everybody who is struggling to find sustainable solutions for his territory, and this is all for all these people who are believing that they should implement sustainability at their local level, they should take this opportunity for doing what Valongo is doing. It's maybe more difficult, but it's worth investing.
Yeah, thank you.
On my side, 2 points for reflection. First of all, indeed, that both examples really show the importance of taking action at the local level. And indeed, what we are seeing when it comes to the implementation of the Water Framework Directive and the process of the river basin management planning is that this process remains still at very high level. we're not necessarily seeing in all member states a very proactive participation from citizens, despite the requirement about public consultations and everything that comes with it. And I guess it's our perception in the Commission is that probably there should be a more proactive effort to actually speak to the citizens rather than just opening a public consultation. So this type of example really shows how this could be done, and I would be interested to maybe have a bilateral discussion later on with Gisela on that. And on the other, I was very much encouraged to hear what concretely the Sponge facility, the Sponge Cities project is doing, because this is precisely the type of initiative which we should be basically upscaling and try to replicate across the board. And indeed, one particular point which I would like to stress is that it is about working with citizens in general, but indeed the role of farmers and foresters is particularly crucial, I think, when we talk about nature-based solutions, because a lot of the actions that need to take place actually involve very often private land, which has a productive use. It's not land that is just sitting there. They have an owner, they are being used, and it's important that to make sure that there is a full ownership from those people.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, you want to, yeah?
Yes, I would like to add something. Sorry.
Of course, yeah.
Just to say that both plans that we have are based on nature-based solution, and the one that we worked with the technical assistance costs around 600,000 euros, and the strategic plan costs minimum 20 million euros. So we really need staggered calls, otherwise we can't do it. So it's very difficult for us local authorities to have this money to implement these kind of actions.
So funding again, coming back to
I'm
that,
just
right?
trying, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So let me go to Gusztáv, because your Danube region project is very transnational, right? And in order to do so, you need cooperation, I guess. How can transnational cooperation through your programs like the Danube region enhance the design and also scaling of nature-based solutions?
Talking from the program perspective, but maybe also looking a bit beyond my program, international cooperation can facilitate the, let's say, sharing the knowledge in different areas. There are areas in Europe or in certain countries where there are already existing experiences, while in others there is this experience is missing, or the actors have, let's say, much less trust in such solutions, or the technical capacities and knowledge are missing. These international cooperations can help, on the one hand, this collaboration, that sharing knowledge, sharing experiences in between project partners and in between within the consortia, that can be an important aspect. Another one can be that they can also jointly, if of course appropriate actors are involved, they can jointly elaborate such practical tools, digitalization of issues, or monitoring, or whatever, that would be or might be more difficult to do it on all alone. The specific perspective of the Danube region program is that it actually covers the Danube river basin, so the full, complete river basin, where the major rivers are shared by 10, 12 countries, and there are such common issues along these rivers which just simply cannot be solved on national level. And there, our program, although with rather limited funding possibilities, can give quite good impetus for harmonizing certain issues in connection to water pollution or flood prevention, flood protection, to support harmonization and coordination or data harmonization, common monitoring solutions, and so on, which are very often missing. But for a more effective interventions, such tools and such solutions are needed.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I don't want to forget about our audience. So are there any questions from our audience? For any of our panelists and to our online audience, same thing for you. Yes? All right, there's one question. Please, if you kindly ask you to stand up, introduce yourself, and ask your question briefly and to the point. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Artur Branco from Corredor do Rio Lessa, a project, Association of Municipalities in Portugal. I just want to ask the panel for constructed wetlands. Constructed wetlands as a natural-based solution for solving some problems like flash flooding, improving quality of the landscape. They can be a decentralized form of wastewater treatment. So how is this in the agendas and in your projects? Thank you.
Who wants to, yeah, I see. Myriam, please.
I wanted to say that in the programs that we have approved until now, there are such solutions which are included. So it's up to the managing authorities who are managing the programs to include this as a possible strand for funding, and then they can launch projects. So we are seeing that in certain member states, such solutions are already supported under cohesion policy.
Great. Yeah, Luca?
Maybe a quick addition just to mention that the revised Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive also includes a requirement for to develop integrated flood management plans to ensure that the urban runoff is better taken into control, etc., etc. So from that point of view, I see a potential role for constructed wetlands in urban landscapes to contribute to achieving those objectives and being part of those plans.
Thank you. Yeah. I want to go back to you, Gisela, because if we go back to your beautiful river, the river Verera, Rio Verera, if I say correctly, yeah. How can the integration of nature-based solutions in river rehabilitation projects serve as a model, one, for enhancing water resilience, and two, also for biodiversity in other EU regions facing the similar challenges of flood risk and ecological degradation?
Well, I think with this project that I told you about, we can, I think it's a proof that we can present cost-effective solutions and sustainable solutions instead grey solutions, grey infrastructure solutions, for example. And if it is possible to do it, I think we set a scalable precedent. So if other regions want to do it, they have to see their hydrological and ecological plans, and they have to adapt it. But I think it's the best way is to study the territory and to say that is possible, and to say and to understand that it's not so expensive when we think about the damage that the grey infrastructure can do. Because grey infrastructure often they cause high speed of the water, for example, and other things like that. And we can provide better solutions and enhance biodiversity and territory. The river needs her own place, and it was the human that brought near river the buildings, the industry, the agriculture. So the river claims for his space, and we should give it to them, to it. So I think it's natural. It's not something so...
Make water a friend.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's natural. We need water for everything, so we need to respect water as well. And we can have great solutions, so why not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I fully agree with that. Thank you. Yeah. So I do have another question also for you on a EU policy level, because you know, actions, we've been talking about that a lot. Do you think these types of actions could serve as good examples for the water resilience strategy and cohesion policy?
Absolutely. You know, as I said,
It's a
I think
rhetoric
this is
question, huh?
really
Yeah.
inspiring example of things that can be achieved on the ground with multi-stakeholder cooperation, with investing into a bit of a long-term vision as well for the local reality. So yeah, very much looking forward to actually hear more about those projects in particular, but also to see how this is picked up in other regions.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah?
Yes, I think definitely that we have good examples. What is important is also what Nicola De Michelis was mentioning this morning, is that we need to measure results. It's good to know what the results are. And in cohesion policy, where we have very successful projects, I think we should be better informing what the results are, and then we need to communicate them. And maybe we can communicate better on these results in different fora, because sometimes people forget at the local level who did what and what was a real benefit of what we supported. So we shouldn't forget that the EU has made a major effort with major results.
Right, yeah. Communication, here it is again, right? Yeah. We have 5 more minutes left oh, no, less than that. Oh, I thought we had 5. Yes, we do have 5 minutes to wrap up. There was a little confusion here with the time, so forgive me about that. Are there any last questions to these panelists? Yes, one more question there in the back. Could you please introduce yourself? And yes, and then
Hello.
keep it briefly to the
super
point.
brief.
Thank you.
I'm Leticia from Castilla-La Mancha region, from Spain, and I have 2 questions. The first one is how this water strategy relates to the ecosystem services payments that the European Commission is thinking about. And the second one is how this strategy relates also with the energy movement through hydrogen and other kind of activities or energy sources that demand a lot of water.
Yeah, Luca?
Yes, so on the first point, as you know, the Commission has announced that we'll publish shortly a roadmap on nature credits, which is one potential innovative way of creating a market for ecosystem services beyond eco schemes that exist, for instance, under the Common Agricultural Policy. So I think what we are doing, and it's clear that nature credits can play an important role also in terms of contributing to water resilience. We mentioned the role of farmers when it comes to natural water retention measures, or to make sure that the land is available for flooding when needed by the hydrological flows. So that could be one way of doing it. To be honest, this is while the eco schemes under the CAP are very well established, the nature credits is something that still needs to be explored. And as you might know, it can also be controversial in some quarters. So we are definitely piloting some ideas, also in cooperation with member states and various stakeholders about wetland restoration, for instance, as a contribution for for water resilience. Moving on to the second point, if I understood correctly the question about the link with energy and hydrogen, etc. I think where we come in with water resilience strategy is on the issue of massively improving efficiency in water efficiency in the energy sector, which in general, well, of course, the energy sector is not uniform. You have several elements in there. You have the traditional cooling by nuclear thermal power plants, where through dry or hybrid solution we can have significant reduction. And let's not forget that in Central and North and Eastern Europe, energy is the primary source of abstraction for water, while in the south is agriculture, so massive savings that can be derived there. On the other end, when it comes to hydrogen, water is a key feedstock. And if we want hydrogen, and if we want to imagine a future hydrogen economy, we need to make sure that that economy is also viable in parts of the EU which are subject to water stress. So the issue of managing water wisely across sectors becomes important, as well as to make sure we make the smart investment decisions so that we don't place hydrogen plants where we know they are not going to be viable because of poor water availability or supply.
Speaking of making smart decisions on water, we're almost at the end of this panel. We have 1 minute left, and I would like to conclude with all of you. Just one, let's say, sentence in 10 seconds to conclude, and if you can end my sentence, because if I conclude and I say what's needed for water scarcity is, and then you'll say, start off with Luca and ending with you. So what's needed for water scarcity is, what would you say, Luca?
Better understanding and managing our water use.
Okay, better understanding, thank you. Myriam, if you would finish this, what's needed for water scarcity is?
More involvement of all and better efficiency, I would say.
Okay, more involvement, better efficiency. And Gusztáv, same thing for you. What's needed for water scarcity is?
Well, integrative approach and cross-sectoral integrative approach and cooperation.
Okay, completion. And last but not least, with Ms. Valongo. So what's needed for water scarcity is?
More commitment and regional cooperation.
Right, commitment, that's what we hear. All right, cooperation. Thank you so much for being here in the panel. Can I have an applause for our panelists, please? Thank you. Thank you for the value that you brought. And up next is our lunch. Yes, and you've probably been waiting for it. I know it's warm in here, but now you can maybe go outside, have some fresh air, or have obviously lunch. And I have one favor for you, one last favor before you go. And this has everything to do with a very crucial C4T element, and that's about interaction. So I actually would like to encourage you, and maybe to push you a little bit with a lot of love out of your comfort zone, and to speak to at least one or two people that you have not met before. And why? Because this could be a new sustainable seed that you're planting for future innovation. All right, I kindly ask you to be back here at 2 p.m. Enjoy your lunch. Thank you. Thank you.